Hello everyone! The last planned part of my FNAF fan game rewrite is here. It's been a long project and I'm gonna have to say, I'm glad it's done, at least for now. There are a few things I'd like to potentially tackle in the future, such as funtime animatronics being in a more realistic scenario, but that's just an idea of mine, not sure if I'll actually tackle it. Anyway, before we jump in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More content will be coming out, and if you're already coming back, why not? It helps out the channel and helps you see more content. Anyway, no more delays, let's grab our tea and begin. For this video, I will only really be tackling the third game. The original third game was my favorite, and I feel like it deserves some extra attention and love. This is really because Springtrap was revealed to be the main antagonist, and I just loved the idea of him chasing us down as the only main threat. Though if I was coming at this from a fan game perspective, here's some things I would think about to use. To start, I think FNAF 3 and 4 should be merged together. Honestly, the Nightmare animatronics match the overall aesthetic and theme far better in the horror attraction than the Phantom animatronics. These stand out a little bit more from the background, but still look absolutely terrifying. My reasoning for this is I just personally want to lean more heavily into that supernatural aspect, as well as a little bit more horror. Honestly, the phantoms just look like burnt watermelons. I wasn't really getting spooked by them. I do think that the books actually handled this fairly well. So I'm going to be pulling some ideas from the book Fazbear Fright's Gumdrop Angel, specifically the chapter called What We Found. It shows how Agony plays this reality-twisting feature, and it's frankly too good to ignore for a game. So here's how we start. To begin, we play as Jeremy, a mechanic who is working on broken things within the horror attraction overnight where there's no people around. Jeremy is arms deep in the guts of a vending machine he's been told to fix. The lights are flickering and humming loudly, despite there being some blues music in the background. He isn't fazed by the ambiance, it's just another job for him. However, as he's working, the music begins to flicker on and off till it completely cuts out. For a big fancy company, you can't afford basic things like a normal radio. I gotta use this crap system that ain't been updated since the 80s, maybe even later. This stuff is nearly archaic. The man grumbles, but pulls out his phone. At least they have enough sense to update the system so I can at least access some of it from my phone. Eventually he goes to look at his next project. As he walks down the hall, he spots a decrepit, mangled-looking green rabbit animatronic hanging from the wall. Well, ain't you just an ugly thing? See why they wanted you in this dump? When approaching it, the character feels woozy and wobbly. A strange pressure seems to be consuming him as he gets closer and closer to the animatronic. Eventually, this causes him to leave the building, just too disoriented to work. After the shift, Jeremy talks to his daughter about not feeling well at work, but sits her at the table and feeds her. "Papa, if you're not feeling good, you should take tomorrow off." She worries over her father, but he brushes it off. "It's a haunted house. It's probably just freaked me out for the night. It made me a little nauseous, but there's nothing to worry about." For the second shift, your first task is to repair Springtrap. You're not exactly liking the idea as you got an odd feeling last time, but a job is a job, and you gotta take the money home to take care of your daughter. So, getting over his nerves, he decides to man up and work on it. However, when he touches it, his vision flashes and it becomes like a disoriented acid trip. "I have to get to the office. I just have to get to the office." Jerking away, the objective crosses out and he needs to now get to the office to recuperate. As he's making his way down the hall, struggling to figure out which way is which thanks to his disorientation, he can hear new sounds. Some of them sound like laughter, some of them sound like skittering through the vents, and some sound like a deep growl. What he doesn't know is that the Nightmare animatronics are active, them being hallucinations of Springtrap's agony. On his way there, he nearly runs into Nightmare Bonnie, only managing to miss him by quickly hiding inside of a locker. Silencing his breath, he watches as the horrific form of Bonnie slowly trudges by, his footsteps shaking the floor beneath him. In the first official night, Chica and Bonnie are active. In order to escape, you need to reopen the exit doors due to the system being installed as a way to prevent people from going inside. You have to disable the security system while managing airflow, camera systems, vent access, and audio lures through your phone. Bonnie wanders around, occasionally disrupting the cameras while trying to find you. This disruption causes you to have to fix the camera feed. To handle Bonnie, you will need to hide and wait for him to pass. Meanwhile, Chica will hunt you through the vents, causing you to need to close vent access and will subsequently mess with the airflow. Very similar to the original game. Chica will also drop from the vent if it's not being blocked, effectively landing on you and crushing you. Once the main system is tampered with, you're able to leave. You do not need to do the objectives for that first night, as this is a tutorial to show you how to handle the animatronics as well as set up some of the story. After the shift, you once again sit with your daughter. She's talking about school or something, but her words are muffled as your internal dialogue questions what you saw. For the third shift, Freddy will become active as well as Foxy. Freddy's Freddles will act as alerts for both of them. Now, Freddy does not chase or directly attack you. Rather, he watches you in the cameras, and if you stay too long in a camera he's looking in, this will cause an audio error, not allowing you to lure the others away. Meanwhile, Foxy will patrol large open areas of the establishment, specifically where Bonnie isn't. In these large open areas, Foxy has the easiest time catching you. However, once you're down the halls, Foxy will slow his pursuit and look for you, but ultimately he gives up pretty quickly. Then he'll alert Bonnie, and Bonnie will start his search for you. After this shift, your daughter has noticed that something just isn't right, and she asks you what's wrong as you both sit on the couch to watch TV. You just reach over and rub her head, saying that it's just been a long night and you're tired. You're lying to her. The fourth shift is where Springtrap will become activated. Unlike the others who are now in their own specific areas, Springtrap will almost always be on your tail. Each time you see him, you will immediately have to use an audio lure, forcing him to head in a different direction. This will bring other animatronics there as well, yet being spotted by the Freddles will cause Bonnie, Springtrap, and Foxy to follow you and attempt to box you in. By this point, you will need to use hiding places and audio lures. However, Freddy and Bonnie have been much more aggressive and are frequently breaking both the audio lures and the video feeds. Once the threats have passed by when you're hidden, it will be extremely crucial to fix the systems if you want them off your tail. The one trick, though, that Springtrap has is he will check hiding spots even if he hasn't seen you go in them. He will check the closest spots to where he heard the Freddles. Unlike the first night, which was the tutorial, all other nights you must actually finish your objectives before you can leave. Like the first game, you will need to quickly exit the building. Springtrap is going to be patrolling around the only way out. He is extremely fast at this point, and will do his best to catch you if he sees you. This will also be true on other nights, but for other animatronics, since Springtrap isn't active till the fourth night. In between shifts, you sit with your daughter while she drinks and watches a movie. Jeremy just turns it down and looks at her and says, "I love you. You mean everything to me. No matter what happens, good or bad, you'll always be my world." She looks at him pretty confused, but smiles and says, "I love you too, Daddy." The fifth and final shift is where only Springtrap is up and about. However, Springtrap is in multiple places. He's in the vents, on the cameras, patrolling different parts of the halls, and you can even cause more than one to follow you at a time. This is actually a callback to the chapter What We Found, when the man is going crazy from Springtrap being around him everywhere all at once, simply from the intense agony he feels. Now, when encountering Springtrap, in this night, your vision will become distorted just as it had been when you first touched him. This disorienting effect will cause you to struggle to see where you're going. Once again, you'll need to hide from him, attempting to cause him to walk away with the audio lure. On top of this, you will continue to need to repair the camera and audio systems when they fail. While you attempt to fix your intended goals, your objectives will purposely fail. Your character will begin to panic and the mission will change to destroy it. Jeremy is frantically running around, needing all of this to end, and he won't let this hell escape from this building. He smashes the natural gas pipes and rips out wires, which will cause the power to flicker on and off. Eventually, he needs to find the last thing needed to end this. A lighter that he dropped a few nights ago when he first interacted with Springtrap. It's still where he dropped it, and to Jeremy's horror, somehow, in the midst of this absolute nightmare, the decrepit rabbit animatronic is still hung up on the wall. It's as if it hadn't moved. It's deactivated, yet he can still hear all the ominous sounds of the other Springtraps walking nearby, crawling through the vents, always on his tail. Jeremy just can't take it anymore. He's going crazy. When he grabs the lighter, he flicks it, the natural gas igniting. But before he goes, he manages to whisper, "I'm sorry, Vanessa." It's the first time we realize that the little girl in the story is in fact Vanessa. Now, there are going to be secrets and lore to find despite there only being one ending. Night 3 is the first night you can access these secrets. Once again, you'll need to hunt down plushies. There are 4 to 5 plushes scattered around the horror attraction from night 3 to 4. These plushes will be various versions of Golden Freddy and Security Puppet. They're clearly worn down, torn, and dirty. Each one will show you the same 8-bit minigames from the original animatronics being broken down by Purple Guy, as he's intending to melt them down for Remnant. But by the final plush, the spirits have locked him in the spring-lock suit. This is the end of the game. There are still so many things that could be done. From here, you could easily continue the Afton story, follow the story of Vanessa trying to find out what happened to her dad in the burnt-down establishment. Or you could just go down the route of figuring whatever happened to the Funtime animatronics, and more about Remnant. I personally think it'd be beneficial to go down all 3 routes. This would leave for a more cohesive story that just has a more satisfying ending at the end of the game series. Unfortunately, I'm just not equipped to handle that right now. I'm one person, and let's face it, this entire franchise is just too big for even a full community to take apart piece by piece. I mean, we have dozens of channels trying to do that, and none of them can come to a consensus about a lot of stuff. Frankly, this project would really need to be done by multiple people. After all, I've been writing this script for like 4 or 5 months. That's a lot of time. So I'm gonna really throw this out in general. If you would like to potentially talk about this, work on this, have any sort of desire to like collaborate, I would love for you to reach out to me and head down this rabbit hole, pun intended. But for now, I'm just gonna call it here. Remember, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There's more on the way, and I can't wait to show it to you. All right, see ya.